Hi, I'm Derek Robinson, a senior technical online course developer here at InterSystems, and I'm joined today by Mark Holmes, head of supply chain market strategy, and Ming Zhou, head of supply chain product strategy, to talk a little bit about InterSystems Data Fabric Studio and specifically how it can be leveraged in supply chain sectors. Mark, Ming, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So let's start a little bit by talking about InterSystems Data Fabric Studio, which is one of the cloud services that InterSystems offers. What are some of the key capabilities of Data Fabric Studio that our users should be aware of?
Well, let me take on that first, if you don't mind, Mark. In today's business, I mean, everybody understands the importance of data, right, for their success. But managing data, and particularly delivering value out of the data, has never been an easy task. Traditional people have been trying different solutions from integration middleware to data lake solutions. I mean, it's always very time consuming and actually very costly, right? Take special skills and the right resources and take a while to get things done. And InterSystems has been a data technology provider and solution provider for decades, right? That's really in our DNA. We've been helping our customers to help them manage their data, business data specifically, by providing different technologies with our experience and all the innovations that we provide over the years. And the InterSystems Data Fabric Studio really take that to the next level. Yep. What I mean, but to the next level. So basically, it allows a non-technical user, particularly non-developer, to really bring the unified and normalized data and bring it into the hands of business users or any other enterprise applications where this data is needed. That's really what we're trying to achieve. So that way you can quickly, deliver the value out of your data, not worrying about underneath technology. And of course, we are doing this through some very interesting approach. For example, a web-based UI that is very intuitive. So not people focusing on what you need to do with the data versus worrying about the underlying technologies. And we'll handle all those underlying technical challenges for you in a seamless way, whether it's about connect data, whether it's about persistent information or normalized information, or how to get to the right data model, and all of those things we'll take care of for you, so people can really focus on delivering the business value side.
Right. Nice, Mark. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think if, let's say that, from a business perspective within supply chain, why is this so important on what Ming just said? It's really accelerating time to value. And I'll give you two examples. So one area that we use this application quite a bit in is with the IBP, so Integrated Business Planning Application vendors and their customers. So one of our system integrator partners is leveraging our technology to bring implementation time down. And just one more example too, if I may, is, sustainability has become, especially from a scoring standpoint, a very important part of what businesses are doing, enterprises are doing. Even vendors are getting obviously very much involved in trying to get those metrics and to be as accurate and as real time as possible. So it's all about where our product, like Ming just stated, around unifying the data from all end-to-end disparate data sources that can drive that sustainability scoring metrics from those vendors so that we can enable accurate and timely results.
Right. Nice. Yeah, that's great. So I think when we look at the use cases here within supply chain, and when we think about the different types of data that exists in these applications, I think a lot of people will instantly be able to think of the reasons why, for instance, healthcare data is so important, right? Like you can instantly tie the reason and the really important things being done with that data to consequences and why it's important. Can we talk a bit about why supply chain data is the same way? Why is supply chain data so important to the people that need it?
Yeah, so I just give you one of a recent supply chain surveys that we did here at InterSystems. It was on a global basis, over 400 supply chain executives around the world, and we found that 43% of supply chain executives globally state their data as 3+ days old to drive decision making. that's a wow. And and to add to that is there was a conversation that I had with a CDO of a manufacturing firm overseas, and he halted his digital transformation effort due to the lack of unified data to be able to drive his digital transformation and AI initiatives that he wanted to do because he felt that he didn't have the unified data that was accurate and timely. And that's really what it's all about. It's all about, in those two examples that I just gave, it is all about how can we create unified, timely, accurate data in a very simplistic way back into business users. What we hear so much about within supply chain is optimized fulfillment. And to your point that you just made, optimized fulfillment can cut across many sectors. It can be healthcare, it can be automotive, it can be manufacturing from the standpoint of FMCG. It doesn't matter. Optimized fulfillment, when you have the need to be able to unify data from any of those applications, suppliers, 3PLs, to then help to optimize, let's say, your groceries. So your on-shelf availability of the right groceries at the right time. And then medical devices, having the right medical devices, having the right supplies to be able to perform procedures on time. And same thing for aircraft, making sure you have the right parts at the right time for the right aircraft to keep the aircraft in the air. So you can definitely cut across sectors, and it's all around, like what he just said. Optimized fulfillment is just one example of a use case.
Right.
And to add to what Mark just mentioned, right? So I've been in software business for over 25 years and have done many digital transformation projects for various customers. One consistent challenge I've seen is how do you get the right data to the right place at the right time? Now, so that is a very general statement. Now, to supply chain, I think it becomes more interesting, actually in many ways more demanding for a few reasons, right? One reason I can give is, for example, supply chain data actually spread all across your business. It's not like within this business unit, this function, you have all supply chain data. No, it comes from procure to pay, order to cash, and everything in between, right? So it's all over your business. And not only that, the data may not even be within the walls of your enterprise. So you may need data from your business partners, suppliers, customers, carriers, or whoever you're working with. And in some other cases, the data is in the public domain, right? You may need the weather alert information. You may need some, something from the social media or the news to really help to drive how can you identify risk early enough and to resolve the risk in the best way. So you have, all of these data that you potentially need to leverage. And that really makes supply chain data challenging more interesting and more demanding that way. Another aspect of supply chain characteristic is supply chain is very dynamic. Things change so fast, right? We heard about the Red Sea things happens right in the canal, and then you heard about the Baltimore Bridge things happen all of a sudden. So you really have dealing with a very dynamic, unpredictable environment, and you have the real-time data to make available into the tools or into your decision-making process is critical. Any decision you made on incomplete or the stale data most likely will be the wrong decision.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you really need that up-to-date, accurate data to be able to make those decisions. So as we kind of look at Data Fabric Studio a little bit, you guys just talked a little bit about some of those general use cases, but can we talk a little bit more about some of the most prevalent use cases within supply chain, and specifically how Data Fabric Studio will equip our users to be able to solve some of those challenges?
Yeah, so I'll get an example if you don't mind, Ming. I'll start out here, and then you could go into a little bit of the technology behind it. But if I start out with a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical manufacturer, so they wanted to develop a unified data analytics to improve supplier fulfillment by keeping the solution within the business unit. That's really interesting because, unifying data analytics to improve supplier fulfillment, look, we all do it. But to keep it within the business unit, the reason why it was so important for them is because the Data Fabric Studio as we developed it as this data gateway, is that there's no development IT resources needed. That is very important to this pharmaceutical company because they wanted to be able to keep it within the business unit because they wanted results within 2 months. Because the biggest issue that they had in analyzing their analytics was, again, disparate data across all their suppliers, all the different TMS, WMS, the SAP modules to bring all that information in. But it had to be quickly, it had to be accurate so that it could be pushed up into their control tower was one of the applications that they were using. But the most important part to them besides that was keeping it within the business unit.
Yeah, and Mark mentioned some interesting use cases, right? Now, in order to really make those things happen, and behind each of the use case, you need basically a set of technical capabilities, right? How can we quickly and easily implement these use cases so that way we can achieve the accurate time to value, right? So in the InterSystems Data Fabric Studio is actually providing a whole set of capabilities, functional capabilities to really achieve that. There's a lot of features that we are not going to have time to talk about one by one, but I'll highlight a few things, right? So you can start by saying, you provide a data catalog for all kind of potential data you may need, and of course backed by a set of very rich the connectors, which you can bring all these data from different data sources. And then we provide a whole set of tools that allow the non-developer, you don't need to have special skills in many ways to really bring the data in and then do the normalization and do the transformation, do whatever needed, and then convert it into a form that can be persisted somewhere that can be consumed by other applications. So all of this is made available in the Data Fabric Studio through a set of easy to use web interface. So that way, you can focusing on getting picking the right data and understand who is going to need this data in what form, and then make the magic happens in between. And the magic happens in between takes a lot of technical support, and which is really supported by this product through reusable data pipeline recipes. And that way, you can reuse, you can really make some of the features, adopted from one environment to another environment quickly and easily. Whether you're talking about persistence, you're talking about validation, you're talking about the mappings, reconciliation of data, and then re-transform it to some other forms, other different systems may need it based on the data consumers. And all of those things are provided in an easy-to-do, simple web-based user interface. So that way you can quickly bring together a solution through these configurations, through all of these support backed by InterSystems Data Fabric architecture.
Right.
Yeah,
and also add one more thing. I'm sorry, Mark. Is if you want to do more with these things, in addition to really serving using as like a data gateway kind of concept, we optionally provide you with analytics engine sitting on top of it. So you can do more work, get more value out of your data immediately without going through another system. So I just want to highlight that point before I hand it over to Mark.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Derek, if I could just add one point around that.
Sure.
Is that, it is really key. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but those IBP players. So within that, the supply chain planning vendors that are out there that are working with their end customers, in order to get going, to be able to provide value to what their engines and what their applications do, it's all about being able to get that unified, accurate data to be able to push it back up into those applications. That could take 11 months, 10 months, 9 months. And to be able to bring it down to 3 months is very significant because of the ability so that you can recognize revenue sooner and your operational costs can be lower. And it is a key area of what is taking place on a global basis around what I just stated.
Right. Nice. Yeah, lots to consider there. And I think on top of all of that, as Ming kind of mentioned or made reference to, Data Fabric Studio also running on managed architecture by InterSystems, so not having the need to really deploy those servers and everything on your own, infrastructure there. Transitions us into kind of the last question that I have before we wrap up here, which relates to another product that is not exclusively run in the cloud or on InterSystems provided infrastructure, which is InterSystems Supply Chain Orchestrator. So for our audience that may have seen the release of that product in the past and is interested in the similar kind of use cases, can you talk a little bit about what that product is and how it complements Data Fabric Studio in the ways that we've been talking about?
Yeah, sure, Ming. If you don't mind, I'll start, and
Yeah, go
then you
ahead.
could go into a little bit of a deeper dive. But look, think of it this way. So Supply Chain Orchestrator is a decision intelligence platform. In fact, Gartner just recognized us in their analytics and decision-making platforms for supply chain. So what it's doing is providing the most optimized real-time decisions to optimize a business outcome. So maybe it's on time in full, improved forecasting, production planning, to the line of business, and ultimately to the existing applications which we complement. And that's where this data gateway that we just discussed comes into play, because what do we need to be able to optimize those decision making opportunities is you need data. You need it real time, you need it unified, you need it to come through in the most simplistic way, and it allows us to then optimize even with Gen AI. So through Copilot capabilities to increase the user experience, and the explainability of making the right choice is in our supply chain orchestrator product. So it's taking our data gateway and moving it up into the point of a decision intelligence data platform.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's right. And also I want to add to that is these two products, they are not two competing products. These two complement each other very well. So although they both build on top of the same, what we call the data fabric architecture,
Yep.
they have different focuses. Data Fabric Studio is more focusing on how can we quickly, easily to make the unified data for supply chain usages, particularly focusing on lower the technical barrier. You don't need to know any intersystem technology to use that thing, right? And you can quickly bring some solutions together very fast without some technical background. So that's the focus of the Data Fabric Studio. Now, Supply Chain Orchestrator is more focused, as Mark said, on the analytics capabilities. How do we bring the value out of your data? So it kind of relies on a good set of data, even though Orchestrator can also do a lot of these data part, but it takes a little bit more technical knowledge, some background about intersystem technology in order to do that, right? But Data Fabric Studio eliminate those barriers, so you can do it from day one quickly and easily. And then you can focusing on driving the business value out of your data in Supply Chain Orchestrator by doing a lot of things. So we, in the orchestrator side, we not only provide you with integration engine, with the persistent engine and many other things, it also give you things like analytics capabilities, AI, ML capabilities, optimization and orchestration capabilities, more focusing on drive business value out of your data to either help you optimize your supply chain or giving you the intelligent decision assistance that you needed to address your supply chain challenges.
Right, right. Nice. Well, lots of exciting stuff to think about within supply chain and within Data Fabric Studio. So Mark, Ming, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Much
Thank you for
appreciated.
paying us.